Hello, everybody. Welcome to the finale of the Anime4ALL podcast, and also the finale for the first half of the Shaman King story. Thanks to this final episode, I was reminded that there was in fact a continuation story-wise, but the anime hasn't exactly existed yet. So, yeah, there's no official translation I can get my hands on to review the manga. Don't believe his lies. Do not believe his lies. Is a hoax. Subterfuge. Lies. Lies. This guy is lying out of it. What? Moving on, found 2 episodes for this. I really want you to do this on your channel. A part of me. But also, a part of me doesn't want to do that to you. I would laugh and I'll end the podcast. Like, yeah, you broke out and on your own niche. I would say you have it. Jesus. Please, nobody leave who's of Japanese descent or Asian descent, please. We're not racist. At least I'm not. He's not either. Don't worry. Okay, we're gonna review the final 2 episodes of the Shaman King anime. No Google. Reviewing the final episodes 51 and 52. Episode title 51 is "Let the Last Test Shaman Fight." This entire episode was essentially, well, not the entire thing, but most of it was essentially the Silva versus Yo fight. Also warning here, these last 2 episodes kind of fly by, so we're going to do our best to talk about everything we can or have in our mind. So no guarantee on episode length, but we will do our best. Apparently the area that Silva is fighting in, I forgot about this. They're fighting in a glacier biome. I don't know why I didn't think about this, as they were fighting in water. Yo falls in the water. I don't know, I think a lot irrelevant happened here. I mean, well, essentially this was the culmination of Silva and they're standing on a glacier. I mean, here's a picture in your notes here. So, I mean, the glacier is relevant. I mean, Yo is physically making it known there's a glacier. He is standing on it. Yes, because it's there. It's a physical presence. Yo is interacting with it. Yo is standing on it. He's making physical contact. He is standing and making physical contact with it. So is Silva. It's what was the pond relevant? Can you just take it as an interesting backdrop and move on? Do we have to like harp on it? You're expecting too much from an early 90s anime. I don't know. I found this one more interesting than the other fights. I mean, and that's just biased on my part because I actually like Silva. What? No, I'm actually being serious. I actually find Silva interesting. I actually liked it. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, yeah, it's short for sure, but at this. No, not really. I mean, Silva held up pretty well. I mean, so like Yo had to literally be tricky to be able to stab him. Neither can Yo touch Silva. It took a last minute. Yeah, but he had to get really clear. He had to work for that win. It wasn't like a simple like Yo just flat out like destroys him. Might I add in here that you're expecting a lot from a reboot of a 90s show? I don't know. I enjoyed it for. I mean, I will admit. No, I will sit here and admit this. This fight went by really quickly. I was actually kind of shocked. Actually, these last two fights went by really quickly, especially the last one. That one I expected there to be a little bit more like based on what was happening. I won't talk about it until we get to episode 52. But a lot happened in that last fight. As I said, I'm not gonna talk about. I'll talk about it right now. A lot happened in that fight, and you know, it was really quick. But I like this fight basically because it's, you know, it showed that Silva and Yo still had a bond, even though Silva had to essentially be the bad guy here. Not much happened in consequence to his death because they've killed almost every other patch officiant except for the last one they encounter. 'Cause I don't even think she dies. I don't think she dies. At least not that we see. Here on your notes, you take into account all the rings on his, I guess, his right hand. And we see this when we first see him though, because he actually yells out the totem animal that he's using. I mean, this is like very early on, like when he first introduced him. You on the pinky or the ring finger? I think that might be a buffalo. I don't know what you're talking about here. You weren't asking about buffalo. You did like. I think it's a buffalo. I think we can move on. That was you that asked if the ring finger was a buffalo. It's probably just like perspective, Jock. Jock, I think that's perspective. If you look at it hard enough, it looks like the pinky finger is facing forward. Not towards him, but away from him. That was another thing too. I like to draw, and drawing hands is difficult. I think it is because he used the buffalo before. I'm saying drawing hands is hard I've tried this before. It's not as easy as you would probably think it is. Not even using your own hands of reference helps. Has nothing to do with drawing, by the way. I don't know what the heck that was. I'm very confused and concerned as we're moving on. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm fully aware. I'm letting you have your fun. I didn't know this. Today's a good day to die. A Native American saying that means what? Native American saying that means the speaker will die, not the opponent. I mean, I got that. I mean, I guess I don't know why you brought that in here. Yeah, essentially, I guess this fight happens. They trade blows. They block each other's like really powerful hit, only for Yo to get up close to him and stab him. I didn't know he manifested his oversoul in his chest. That was something I didn't know. Thank you for helping me understand how that strike happened. From there, we go to Mata having a nightmare of Princess Hao. I find that funny, and I also kind of feel bad because he had to suffer that. Granted, according to him, it was in his brain, and that's why it showed up in his dream. I have no idea, so I'm very confused, and also really feel bad for his brain cavity that image was planted in there for all eternity. I'm calling Princess Hao and not calling She-Hao. That is so close to She-Hulk, and I want nothing to do with it. Oh, it is How in a dress. But moving on. I don't even want that. See here after he wakes up from that nightmare. I don't think I have to call it anything because I don't really talk about that particular like version of How ever again. I guess it's the only time it comes up. Leave Manta alone. He's trying to live his life. Those dudes trying to live his life. After that, he ends up walking a very long way along a highway with no cars, inconspicuously. Only him to thinking about like how he wish he could be down there helping them, and I guess a way I don't know about. Funnily enough, though, he actually does kind of help them out later on. It's kind of funny, but after that, Anna shows up out of nowhere, and then the Sphinx guy shows up out of nowhere, and he apparently shows that he can make his oversoul into a water terrain vehicle. At this point, I'm wondering if this was the plan. Why didn't he go down there sooner? No, you see them when like after Hal wakes up and it blows everything up. They all die on that thing. They're going down there and then they die because the explosion from Hal's aura is just that massive and powerful. I don't think there was enough room for everybody to fit in that golem. Well, we find that out later. think the original plan was the plan that we saw in episode 52. I mean, we'll get to that. I mean, a lot of people have a problem with the, you know, turn the bad guy into a good guy, I think. I mean, well, they didn't really need to do that either, because the souls can only be, I mean, the spirits can only be, you know, obtained when they die. We'll get to that. But no, I'm pretty sure it was all like a plan that, I mean, like Ren and everybody else knew what Gil was gonna do. Who's to say that no one else did? I mean, Anna went in there too. Like, I'm pretty sure she had, and you know, tell everybody what was actually gonna happen. Because I don't even think the Ganhara people were even alive at that point either. So I mean, everybody had to be. I guess everybody had to be dead just to have like a founding level. But we'll get to that in a minute. Well, yeah, but they go down there. Hal ends up waking up, and well, actually, no, correction. I'm getting ahead of myself. The Yo and the gang make it to the final area where the space room is, full of space. We introduced to the final patch officiant, Rutherford. I think if I had to say, I think she's the only female patch officiant besides the old lady. Cause I don't think I've ever, I don't think I've ever seen another female patch member besides the old lady. I don't think she was an actual officiant. I don't think she was an officiant though. Man, I'm pretty sure. Like, I mean, like I don't think their entire tribe just consists of 10 people. It'd be a really like pointless endeavor. Again, they're a Native American tribe. I think there's a lot of them. I don't think that every single one of them is an officiant. I could be wrong, but basically what she was trying to do, she was just trying to stop everybody from being a part of the Shaman King fight. I don't think she was a good officiant. Well, I mean, yeah, she was a patch. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying I don't think she was an officiant. Well, I mean, besides the little girls that I think was with Gova too. At least I think they were both little girls. I think they were, but they weren't officiants either. They were just with Gova. That was kind of. I will say, out of all the characters in this one, I actually found Rutherford kind of cute. I mean, out of all the characters, like I legitimately find her cute. Like, it's not even like a forced thing. I was sitting there staring. I think it's her eyes. I don't know. It's something. I actually like her design. She's probably a lot older than she appears. I mean, according to what I looked up on her, she was born in 1980 something, so she isn't like all that young. Compared to Gova, she's young, but you know. But yeah, she shows up. We found out apparently aliens exist. At this point, I don't really care because what else doesn't exist in this world? We also find out apparently technology. This one thing was actually kind of bugging me a little bit. They didn't explain how the patch came out of all this technology, and we finally get an explanation. An alien gave it to them, which is I find interesting. It's like, okay, I guess that explains the space theme that we have going on here. At first I thought it was just random, but I thought it was kind of cool. I guess speaking with the whole space theme, we find out that she's her guardian spirit is the dead spirit of the alien, who, by the way, we never actually saw. We only saw her oversoul. Yay, question mark. I was expecting to at least see it, but I don't think we saw it. We just only saw its oversoul, so that was weird. We also found out how powerful she was. She had complete control over gravity. And actually, by this point, I want to just put a PSA. From here on out, the powers get more ridiculous, so be prepared. But she has complete control of gravity, essentially like squashing everybody in the room. And as Yo is about to deal the blow that would kill her, the room shakes. The entire terrarium, what do you want to call it, just shuts down, and we see everybody shudder. And that's when how half naked comes out of the room, looking all evil, like he's like, I've done it, I've achieved my final form. I mean, 50% of the time he's in a hot tub, so yes. A lot more time than I think he should, but I mean, the guy's over 1,000 years old, so I guess it's to be expected. Actually, Yo goes down too, and then it's only when he realizes that actually I should back up a little bit. As they're trying to deal with the gravity. Wait, why is that so loud? Sorry, no, continue. Well, actually, what I meant when I had myself, I meant to actually during the fight with Rutherford, they as they discovered that she's using a dead spirit of an alien, man negation is how they're able to stop her from using the gravity. As that happens, all the extra stuff that we just talked about happens. How it comes out of nowhere and starts like just, which is, I mean, there's no better way to put it, or even a nice way to put it. Flat out murders everybody in the room. He tries to murder. He tries to, what? TPK, no, total. Oh, geez, okay, that makes sense. Oh. That's mean. But yeah, after they discover man negation, after dealing with Lucifer, how this completely does a TPK. Like, as he's trying, I mean, it only happens because he's trying to kill Rutherford after he fails at killing, after he kills Ryu. He starts trying to kill Rutherford, and everybody gets involved and just gets stabbed in the heart. Everybody just dies, and as this is happening, Yo is having a monologue in his brain. That's also happening at the same time everybody else is having the same monologue, where it's saying that as long as, you know, there's hope, everything will work out. The phrase that Yo has been saying the entire series is that everything will eventually work out. As this is happening, Yo comes to the conclusion that everything will not be okay. And as this is happening and this monologue happens, Hao murks him, and that is it. That is the end of the anime, guys. Sorry, this was just how everything ended. I wasn't expecting Yo to die. That's the joke. Um. Okay. I don't know how I can move past this. Thank you, John. I already made this, like, I already said this the last time we were together recording. Like, I mean, death has become a joke in this particular show because everybody has to die at least once. But as they all die, we actually, take the, I backing up a little bit. I just also really got ahead of myself again. This is the third time I did this. I forgot what I was about to say. No, it's no problem. It's my fault. It's like with dying. Shoot. I guess it's not important. I couldn't even get the thought out before I disappeared. But they all die, and essentially, like, they get well, Yo gets teleported to Hao's. I thought it was about Hao. Back to when Stark says that, you know, Hao ends up dealing a blow to Yo deals a blow to Hao. We found that apparently Hao's soul left his body, and that shell was just an empty shell walking around, which is kind of creepy. Yo chops off Hao's head, and he says, "What are you doing, Hao? Like, this isn't you. This is like an empty shell." And then he dies as well, because the head of Hao stabs in the back. As I said before, the powers get ridiculous from here on out. You know, if you're not prepared for this, I suggest you leave. But after that, everybody's dead. All the bodies are dead. Honor realizes it's too late because everybody on there, Spinks dies in the water. Essentially, this is like the end of Dragon Ball Z, where everybody's kind of dead. Like, everybody's at least died once. I mean, they actually make reference to this in Dragon Ball Abridged. Everybody's died at least once. But pretty much Hao brings Yo's soul into his special happy place, I guess you would call it. You know, his higher living establishment. And essentially, Hao and Yo have their final chat. And we learn a little bit more about Yo in this situation where this is not really learned. We kind of knew this, that Yo didn't exactly like humans either. But I mean, I don't think it was to the extent that Hao straight up didn't like humans. I was also saying, I mean, Yo has stated he didn't like humans. I mean, this is something that wasn't a secret. We go back in time to learn about, like, Yo and Anna's relationship and how they met. We hear that at that point he didn't like being around people because they didn't like him because he could talk to spirits and whatnot. But him not liking humans is not really that much of a shock. But I will agree, it was probably more of a situation he was trying to get Hao to turn over a new leaf, which is pretty much Yo's goal this entire series, is trying to get Hao to turn over a new leaf. Dang it. And we have this as this conversation is happening, they're relating to each other. Hao says he's gonna destroy all humanity because they deserve it. I want to also point out before we move on here, it's interesting that, you know, I said, like, you know, Yo brings up that, you know, how he doesn't really like humanity that much. Honestly, I think everybody on Earth can probably relate to not liking humanity all that much, but I mean, we don't go to the extremes of trying to do mass extinction. But I found it interesting that, like, Yo compared human greed just to cancer cells, or just like human, like not even great, just like human nature to like cancer cells. Like it just like it's there, it eats up all the good cells, it doesn't do anything but harm others, and it just completely encapsulates the host and eventually kills it. um it's a really weird way to look at it, and it's actually kind of really dark way to look at it too. uh but it's an interesting comparison that Yo's made, and I say interesting because Yo has never made these kind of like comparisons up to this point. Yeah, he doesn't like humanity all that much, but he's never just called it a cancer. It's kind of like it's I think I might have seen that sketch, but yeah, I think I might have. I watch comedians every now and then. Jesus. Okay, I'm going to just like versus having real life explanations of character that I was not expecting to have here tonight. This is the finale, folks. So a lot of things are going to probably come out that weren't intended. Uh, so, but we move on from there. We move on from there, and Hal tries to assimilate Yo, and Yo says no. And the next thing that Hal says is, "How did you do that? Wait, how do you have some of the Shaman King power?" And all of a sudden, all the other people he killed show up out of nowhere, saying that we all have a little piece of the Great Spirit in us. They all managed to get a hold of I don't know how they did it, but they all managed to get a hold of their spirit, their respective spirit. Raiden got lightning, Horo Horo got water, Chocolove got wind, and Lysor got the spirit of fire. And essentially they give Yo the spirit of earth. And essentially they all, like, as this is all happening, they all let loose a really powerful technique on Hal, and as expected does absolutely nothing because he's in the Great Spirit. So but it's interesting that they all say this, that and then it's like and then they give Yo the spirit of earth. He's like, well, I can't, you can't expect me just to take this and go and try to kill Hal. And they all come out with it. They knew that Yo wasn't trying to do that, and they specifically, well, Ren says that, we know you've been trying to, I guess, teach Hal a lesson. And essentially what I take from this is like they were trying to beat a lesson into Hal, and I find that funny. This is not the way I was expecting the final fight to go down, if you can even call it that. No, I heard that it's good, but again, so many anime, so little time. This would be a Shaman King review about complaining about the Legos. No? Oh, Alpaca. Guess you got a little ahead there. I think that's in episode 52. Shoot. I guess at the end of episode 51, they all get their spirit, and then Hal summons the Great Spirit, which brings us something really interesting. It's funny in episode 52, which is where we're at right now. The episode is called Shaman King God End. It's kind of funny that brings this up. It's like, how did he summon the Great Spirit inside the Great Spirit? That was an interesting thing to pull out. And that's the only way to explain it. But to your point of the whole child thing, I was like, it actually does make sense. I was just like, I was just finding it funny that you were so upset about some small minor detail. You see, that's why you gotta enjoy dumb anime stuff, because eventually it will come back around. I'm sorry. I just find it funny that apparently I didn't even see it, but I wasn't the complete opposite spectrum of what Jock was. I was enjoying it because I didn't notice it. I actually legitimately didn't notice it. I only ever took notice of it when he brought it up. So whenever he did bring it up, I was just laughing because it's like he apparently found it very annoying, but I was just laughing because he found this annoying. It's like, but I guess that makes sense actually, based on what happened at the end of this episode and the end of this show. But I guess to culminate what we just talked about, they all hit Hal with everything they have, only for Hal to throw everything back at them in the form of the stages of the sun exploding. It was very intriguing that Hal knew all this. And essentially his power was that of the sun. Well, I guess it can't be of the sun. Well, I don't know actually. I mean, they were fighting in like a space vacuum, but I didn't think that was actually space they were fighting in. But I also found it interesting too that Hal equated them fighting him as like the Earth picking a fight with the sun. The Earth would lose because of how unbelievably powerful the sun is. We couldn't even get near it. But like how attacks them all with like this different stages of the sun, it ending with a black hole. And speaking of Pagacho, pretty much as this fight's happening and they all don't give up because this is a fight of their will at this point. This isn't even a real fight. All of a sudden there's a train in the distance, a space train if you will, and Manta is on it. Manta's soul actually. And all of a sudden, all the people that died just show up. We have Anna showing up. Yo is still apparently afraid of her, even though he's dead. Anna shows up. People, the obscure house shows up. We see Yo's mother for a split second. We see Yo's father for a split second. Like, it's just a really weird reminder that everybody died on that pyramid. As this is all happening, Hal gets really upset. Like a little kid who's upset that somebody is in his room when he doesn't want them there to be. He gets very like, why are you doing here? This is my imagination. And they're all saying that they're not gonna leave. And then all the people he betrayed all come out of the woodwork, and now they're in his imagination. Was there anything to really talk about? I mean, go ahead. I haven't said anything. I never thought about it that much, but at the same time, I didn't really like Yo having Earth, but I mean, that's... No, Ren has lightning. No, because air belongs to Chocolate. That makes sense. I mean, I didn't. I was trying to figure out what Earth, why Earth he got Earth, but I mean that makes sense. But what I don't here, okay, here's But wouldn't eventually because these planets change their distance to the sun as they're rotating it, right? Rotating around the sun, right? It doesn't get too close, but okay, once the sun does die and does become a black hole, there is nothing to stop the Earth when it gets to a certain point in its rotation to get sucked into it. I don't know, something about, like, I guess, I mean, maybe. But from what I understand, you can't escape the pull of a black hole once you enter a certain proximity of it. I get you're saying that apparently Earth would never fall into it. I mean, I get there's a black hole actually at the center of this universe, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like, from what I understood, what I thought I understood, at least from the minimum research I did just a long time ago, based on what I was reading, it's something like once you get, like, the black hole is just like, it's death incarnate. You cannot escape it. And I feel like there's no way. But what about the point? It's gotta be pulling you before the event horizon, right, though? I don't know, I'm just having a hard time believing that you can orbit around a black hole. Well, I mean, yes. Let me just look up. It's the first time hearing it. I know a part of me believe that when they did lose all the energy, granted, according to this I'm looking at right now, apparently the sun would never become a black hole because it doesn't have enough mass to do so. I guess back to the whole black hole thing. I don't know. I just felt like regardless of the sun not becoming a black hole and not actually being that realistic, I'm letting that pass because this is a show, a fiction show where at this point the show is literally going into getting close. It's not there, but it's getting close to the line of science fiction. It isn't there yet, and funny enough, it doesn't cross that line, which is kind of funny. Or maybe that's the point. Maybe because Hal doesn't understand it. I mean, they probably understand, but maybe that's the point of Hal. You do keep mentioning that Hal was a kid. Well, I don't know the creator is like, you know, what his understanding of science or even space is, but again, I'm just kind of surprised the show went as long as it did, and it got to this point, and there's still it's still a major conflict, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I guess with all the space talk, I still feel like, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what I feel like. I mean, space will do what it wants to do, but let's see. After all that, they come. I guess basically, it's interesting how much of a family reunion pops up, and like we slowly start inching towards, I guess, what was hinted. I already brought up monster showing up in the. Let Manta live. You're not letting him live though. But as all these characters are starting to show up, or we're getting the whole family is everything motif, I guess is the best way to put it. Again, but this is also, I couldn't tell if one of them was a girl or not, and that's where I got really confused and I stopped caring. All of a sudden the X-Laws show up, and every single one of them, even Lucas and his girlfriend, apparently they got together in the afterlife. I don't think she was topless. I think she had clothes on. No, I know what you're talking about. I know Jean is I didn't know she was fired out of a gun. I guess I should have realized, but I couldn't tell. But I mean, I wasn't really trying to look that hard. No, I think I try to move on. Can I say this is Japan? Again, that was not a part of the script. We don't, in fact, have a script. He just brought up tentacle porn on his own free will. I think our rating just got shot up to R. I apologize. I don't think there is. I've been checking periodically just so I don't miss a comment, and nope, nobody. But after all that, Apocalypse flings her body into the black hole because she believes that Hal was a good person. More on that later. What? Gets rid of the black hole. Maybe she was alive and she died after the black hole was like dispersed. Oh, that's right. Okay, I just realized what actually happened there. As she did that, how you see the scene of Hal freaking out. I think seeing his friend die broke his will a little bit, and everything completely ended. Because after that happens, everything in that world just goes back to normal. Well, normal, quote unquote. The shock of seeing her die, or die, quote unquote, is what stopped everything. Essentially, she threw herself in the black hole, and his imagination couldn't handle it, and he just broke down. As we see this rest of this fight, he ends up, well, not fight, this entire conversation, he ends up breaking down. Pretty much, we find out, well, not find out, we knew this for a while, that this all had something to do with his mother. He blames the humans during his time for killing his mother, which is what I got from that. It wasn't exactly stated 100%, but what's this line on here? Otsu character. Well, he did show up on the train. Um, um, the Otsu incident was unsuccessful assassination attempt on Nicholas Alex Androvich, Tsarovich of Russia, later Emperor Nicholas, whatever, during his visit to Japan as a part of his Eastern journey. Now, I looked up Otsu, and one of the autocompletes was an Otsu incident. I'm guessing this happened during his trip there. That maybe, I'm trying to look at images of this guy, but Emperor Meiji publicly expressed sorrow. Japan's lack of hospitality toward the state guests, which led to an outpouring of public support. Not much. So I mean, I think what you probably got not much of a stretch. Oh. It's interesting. Apparently this incident is like not even really that well known. It's hidden. No, it was an attempt. Mm-hmm. And we move on from there. How get? No, it's no problem. It's no problem. It's no problem. We can like sum up a lot of this mother stuff with like how finds out that apparently his mother has been with him this entire time. Um, as this revelation happens, we also find out that Hal can't read minds anymore. I'm guessing I couldn't tell at what time he stopped being able to read minds. I thought they initially said that he lost his ability to read minds 1,000 years ago, but I'm guessing I misunderstood that, and I guess it meant that after he became Shaman King, he lost the ability to read minds. Um, what he did was an act of purification, and apparently he was not aware of that. Which I guess makes sense. You die and you lose your physical form. Uh, I guess it also makes sense why his body, his shell, was like as violent as it was. Up to that point, Hal had not been that violent. He'd been killing people for sure, but like he wasn't as like out for blood as apparently that shell of his was. So like he had purified. We found out apparently from Anna because she could tell he couldn't read minds. Because Anna shows up and explains all this, gives him a monologue, and even kind of makes fun of him, saying that I thought you'd be the last person to need an explanation. I thought that was kind of cute that she was able to get back at him for that. I guess all that stuff he did to her. And as we find out that apparently his mother's been with us his entire time, almost everybody from like the main characters group, this family shows up, from the Yo's mother to Ren's parents to Choco Love's parents and the group that he hung out with after they died. Lyserk's parents show up. Also, apparently, Lyserk's mother is really short. Yeah, a lot of people's like past comes out to help, I guess, bring Hal to his senses. And as this is all happening, we find out Lyserk's father actually found a lot of the spirits and found his and then Hal's group, the ones that he betrayed, all say that we knew that you needed us. And as this is all happening, we get panned over to is a door carriage, and his mother shows up. And apparently her appearance shocks everybody, and including me. A part of me thought about that as soon as it happened, was like, does she look like Anna? And I mean, I'm pretty sure she's probably some descendant of Anna. It is kind of funny. I mean, I don't think maybe thinking about his relationship with his mother and essentially how she treated him and how much she loved him and whatnot, and his relationship with Anna, I don't know if it was much of him being in love with Anna. I think maybe he saw his mother in Anna, and based on the way she was acting, they're very similar, kind of weirdly so. Maybe, and I saw the slap, I was like, that's why she was able to slap him. He wasn't, no, not like that. But his mother ends up scolding him, and that's the final attack of the entire series. Is his mother scolding him for all the things that he was doing. At this point, it gets even more silly because essentially, she does what all mothers do to their sons: is embarrass him by apologizing for him. Everybody just loses their composure and starts laughing. I just thought it was funny. It was like, this is so funny. We're having Hal get embarrassed in the final episode of the series. Something that has never been able to be done to him is make him embarrassed. What do you mean? What do you mean? Elaborate. Dang it, Jock. Dang it. No, this. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, based on like. No, I get that, but I guess I would say is like how is still going to destroy all humanity. Granted, he's given them a timetable for. Did he give them like a time limit, or he just say you better? I mean, the sequel's already been in existence. I mean, there's like several like. I mean, just to say, there's actually several spin-offs from this one series that's been happening over the years. No, not really. They could have had another really dangerous spirit show up. I don't know. I mean, according to how he still hates humanity for killing his mother. So it's like, if, but the way, I don't think that really matters to him. He said he was gonna do it. I don't know what the way they. I mean, with the. I mean, let's continue the episode review. Um, if we skip to the future, which is like 10 or so more years after the fact. Everybody's all lanky except for one character. I won't mention it. But we see all of them as adults. One drastic change was Ren. He let his hair grow out. I thought it was a really weird like transition for him. Yeah, Ren. What? I was even weirder as his shoes, but I mean, I guess that's just a part of the Tao family. The whole Tao family thing. I guess we're also gonna bring out the first thing we see actually is Asuka Hana, the son of Yo and Anna. And apparently, it's funny that he's just like a reverse of Yo. He's high tempered, anxious, doesn't really care about anything, and he ain't laid back. He's like he took Anna's personality and shoved it into Yo's body is what actually happened there. It was very interesting. We see Ryu, who's more disheveled. Apparently they're all waiting. Like apparently Hana was waiting for his parents to come back. He ends up meeting Horo Chocolove, who apparently was in jail at some point and got out. And is apparently fatter. I don't know how I feel about that. And he's bald. A lot of things went wrong with him. He probably went bald, considering how high his hairline was when he was a kid. I'm willing to bet that he probably went bald. He could have shaved, who knows? But I'm willing to bet that he went bald. I say that, man, because of guys of his build that he has now typically are bald. Typically they are. They're not, you know, I don't know how I feel. I mean, he might have shaved. I had no idea. He doesn't say. They don't even bring it up that he's got a shaved head. Actually, no, he might have. I think he was already bald because as a kid, I don't think he actually had hair. No, because there was a scene where he was wearing a hat and he was bald. I mean, either or, he doesn't have hair now as an adult. Who? Yes, we do. At the end of the episode, that was him as an adult. He was in college. He just didn't grow, except for 1 centimeter. He stayed short. We get to see all of them apparently living their lives. Apparently, they haven't successfully saved the world from the corruption that Hao was going to kill all of them from. Oh, I guess another thing too. Not only does Yo and Anna have a kid, we find out that Rin has a kid, and the woman he bedded was apparently the maiden. No, I'm just saying it was just kind of funny. I mean, not Hao, but Rin. No, it was Rin. Yo brings up to Rin that like there's somebody you like, right? And Rin just turns red. I had assumed that it was her. I wasn't sure how I knew. Again, these are things that are unscripted. These are just ideas that are flying out of his head, considering this is the finale of season 2. I just want to point this out now for people to get ideas. You could respect her and then give her a coat. Okay, I think with that we're gonna end this review here. Before we I mean, Jock, those aren't Legos. Those are things you see in real life. No, I get that, but I've seen those crossing crosswalks before. You really just didn't call and go to him. Wait, you don't hear Jock? Wait, what? Say that again. Oh, for the love. Really? Hold up. Say something real quick. Well, it is too late. We've had the podcast, and apparently you have not been. I've been talking to myself the entire time. Yep. And that's what happens when OBS decides to not cooperate. That's fine. I mean, I'll still go release this. It'll just be one of those, like, I'll just name it. I have lost my sense. Lost my senses. No, that's good. It's just that I was not aware that OBS was doing this. Which is weird, because I thought I saw this last week. Actually, I'm certain I saw this last week. Great. Okay, sorry about that, guys. For whatever reason, OBS isn't picking up his voice, and fortunately, I don't have a way to say it, and we've been live for at least an hour now, an hour plus. I guess with that, like, I guess we could, wait, 1 minute, at least if I can't fix this, so we can at least get you at the end of it. We didn't get total loss. No one way to solve this. It's the way I did it before. Remove. Thank you. And then add you back here. Okay, try it again.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now they can hear you.
All right. I'm going to try to bring this back with some great content here, Jeremy. I have a question for you, a final question. And it's a 3-part question. Okay?
Okay.
Part 1. Are you familiar with that song, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor?
I'm afraid, yes.
Like, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies... You know that song?
Yes.
Now, are you familiar with the song, It's Raining Men?
No, I'm not.
It's a raining man, hallelujah, it's a raining man, hallelujah. You don't know that song?
I'm aware of the words, but I've never heard of it in the context of a song.
Well, it's a very, very classic song. What I want to ask you, and apparently your audience, since you're not familiar with the song, is, were those two songs written in the same universe from two different perspectives.
I don't think they're similar in the slightest.
It's raining men and let the bodies hit the floor.
Well, when you say them like that next to each other, they were made by two different people, though, in two different groups. I mean,
Two different perspectives in the same universe, like kind of like the MCU, how every character brings a completely different tone to the universe. I think these were like kind of like the MCU of music.
I don't know. I think that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Personally for me, but I mean, you know, what I wanted to do before we actually
wait. A tin whistle's made of tin, right?
I guess.
So what's a foghorn made out of?
Chicken?
It probably tastes like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken.
I guess a fog? I don't know. Where are you going with this?
I wanted to put some content in here, but we've gone through all notes.
No, I know, but what I wanted to do before we like ended here was I wanted to, I guess, get your overall perspective on the anime since we finally finished it, as long as it took us. I didn't expect this to go as long as it did, but real life's gotten away. But what I want to do before we end it here is, what was your overall take of this show? Now you've gone through it from episode 1 to episode 52. How do you like it? Where you rate it? I mean, I know it's not on your top list.
I think the writers didn't understand their target audience because they created something with about 5,000 Easter eggs for anyone that like has an advanced understanding of mythology and culture, and then they made the target audience more like 15-year-olds.
I mean, like, the show came out like a long time ago. The plot line is
written like it's either really like the plot line is either really like light and thin, or the kind of thing that you crack open an encyclopedia and try to like research along with as you go. And it's like there's almost no middle ground there. There's no like obvious depth. There's only like hidden depth and like on the surface like lightness. And you have to get deep and like think about it and work for it. And it's really easy to miss because the show presents itself as such a light and fun, crunchy like anime, unless you're like really researching and looking for that depth that I was talking about. I haven't had to work on anything that we've ever podcasted before anywhere near as hard as I worked on this series. Like it made me work really hard because it was there. There was stuff to mine for, but you had to dig deep for it.
I understand it, but honestly, I mean, I honestly believe that like this show came out. Let's look up when this manga first got produced real quick. I want to get the exact year down.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, dang, I just saw it and we lost over it. Okay, here it is. Okay, it originally ran from 98 to 2004. I feel like, and I understand where you're coming from, and I actually, as a kid, when I watched this, I didn't even try to look into. I was a huge fan of mythology. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't like look into it deeply with this show. Nowadays, I look at a show, I'm gonna look for anything I can, but back then I wasn't, and I was the target demographic for this show at the time when it first came out. I don't know what the initial intent of this creator had with when he or she made this. But I feel like the initial intent was for it to be happy, campy, all the way up until like the story needed to get dark. And surprisingly, thinking back when the show came out, a lot of what it did, I think it did to its best of its capability. A lot of shows at the time weren't going to be this dark, and honestly, I keep using the word dark. It isn't that dark. Yeah, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of blood, and there's a lot of kids getting murdering each other. But there are shows that are way worse than this. But coming at it from the perspective, this show was not doing this at the very beginning. As we made fun of the whole dying doesn't really mean anything. Dying meant a lot at the very beginning of the show. It was like we didn't know characters were just gonna straight up come back. So like, yeah, you can expect it, but you'll only expect it if you've watched the anime for a long time. So if you came at this for as your first show, there were a lot of things that just completely catch you off guard. This is the only thing he's actually made. There's another show, I forgot the name of it. I fell off it from a long time ago because apparently he was working in tandem with some American comic book writer. I forgot his name, but at the time he was working on some other comic, and it sounds like he came back to do a sequel to this one and rebooted it apparently recently because he wasn't a fan of where it was going. And then all of a sudden, an anime adaptation for the sequel got announced. So I don't know what the sequel is going to be about. I can't imagine it gets any darker than he's already allowed it to. But then again, we're like in 2022, so things could have easily changed in his mindset. As for the show, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was the intent was for you to research as heavily as you were, but it added some not brevity, but I don't know the word I'm looking for. But it added something to the podcast that I couldn't offer because my degree is not in like heavy research, and as much as I am a huge fan of mythology, I probably would have known what to look into. You have a lot more background in knowing where to look for certain things.
Yeah, I have experience in library science, and I'm an English major, so, and a teacher.
So yeah, this man's a teacher, by the way. Keep that in mind. Every joke you hear from here on out, this man was a teacher. But yeah, the show. I got like I guess my take on it is that I'm glad I got to just experience it years later in the original context that it was meant to be enjoyed in. I remember hearing about this show years ago, like about how really weird it got. And this is keep in mind, I was aware of this show back before I knew how messed up Japan was, in the landscape of like entertainment. So I didn't even know about half the scenes. Like when I watched this on 4Kids when they initially got dubbed and they changed a lot of it. I did not know about a lot of the child nudity. I come to find out later on, after doing a little bit more research into his creator, that he has done some questionable stuff in his art, but the community apparently is well aware of it and they're prepared for it. So it's never really been much of a shock for them. So a lot of things that made us uncomfortable or shocked us wouldn't have shocked them in the grand scheme of things because they're used to this by this point. Not that it makes it okay. Just
normalize it, and then it's okay. I got you.
It's just like what they're used to, apparently.
Got a problem with child nudity? Just normalize it. Yeah.
I tried to look at it as what I was doing this entire time what was happening, but when you have a 14-year-old girl or 13, whatever how she is,
being shot throughout the entire cannon. You know what? When someone shoots a naked person out of a cannon, and it's the only thing on the screen, I tend to notice it.
But I guess
was that a sad sigh, or are you trying to like contain yourself sigh?
I don't know. I didn't have a response to it, so I just let it be. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything about it.
Was shot out of a cannon.
Okay, I guess with that, I said this 2 weeks ago before we did this, but this is season 2 of the podcast. It's done with.
What do you think overall? Were you satisfied with this as the version that you saw when you were a kid?
I personally enjoyed this more, but it's probably because I'm coming at it from the perspective of, as a fan of an anime. At the same time, I'd rather see the initial vision, regardless of how messed up the initial vision was. I don't enjoy when a person's creative vision gets messed with, and I speak on that from the perspective of somebody who does like to draw and likes to come up with their own ideas for comics and stuff like that, which I do in my own free time. If like I got popular or somebody thought my idea was good enough, I'd rather my vision be shown on the screen versus because you don't like the way this is done, change it. Granted, Now I've actually seen it, I actually completely understand why some of the changes were done, or some of the content cut, as it would be, because at the time this show would have been running, there's no way they could have got away with it. There's no way they could have gotten away with it. Now today, you could get away with almost anything to an extent, as long as you do it correctly.
Yeah.
So I foresee this show having a lot of like censorship. Well, censorship when it was airing. I honestly can foresee that happening because the amount of nudity there was. So yeah, I enjoyed the vision he had. I will say that last fight was faster than I thought it was gonna be. But then again, it, as you said, fighting kind of became a less important thing as the show went on. It was just about building relationships with other people. In a really weird way, this show did a fine job at like showing adolescence into adulthood in a very, really weird way.
Yeah.
It was an interesting transition from being a kid to being an adult. This show went through. As for what the sequel's all about, I had no idea. I was aware of Hana Asakura, but I was not aware of the child of Ren. I thought I heard rumors that Ren had a kid, and I didn't know who it was. But based on the show and how it was portrayed, it was almost obvious that it had to be Jean. So yeah, there's that. So I guess with that, we'll be ending this season 2 here, and pick up season 3, I guess when something shows up or when we feel like it. At the very latest, My Hero Academia, I think, is coming out in October. So if anything, we'll definitely be back for episode 1 of season 6. I think we're at season 6. Jeez, that show's been going on for a while now.
Yeah, well, I mean, partially because it hasn't been going on. It's been going on for a while, partially because it hasn't been going on at all.
I guess I mean the manga material is still going on too. So I mean, yeah. And I've been very good about avoiding the manga this time around. But I guess we'll see you guys then, if not sooner. Thank you guys for watching, and well, or listening, the people who listen to this, and we'll see you next time we come back live. See ya.